Terrence here with Root Healthy Plants. I just want to give an updated tour as far as what I have growing on, at least more of the more pertinent things. So I'm going to start in the front with my pollinator section, and the obvious part here are plenty of zinnias. So you can take a look at the zinnias, lots of colors, lots of beautiful colors. We have some sunflowers coming in here. Those are going to start popping, some mammoth sunflowers, some Mexican sunflowers. We got some, these are called jobs tears or corn beads. And they're commonly used for making jewelry. So we're going to have a nice fun project with that. Let's see, yeah, put more zinnias, some gladiolas. We have some watermelon growing in here too. Let's see if we can find a couple watermelon in here. All right, we got some, oh man, that little one's not looking great. I'll leave that one on there. But let's see, I think we got a nice watermelon down here. So, got a nice watermelon hanging in there. They're all around, plenty of watermelon. But yeah, we got some lamb's ear. We got some mugwort on the perimeter. But this is just a nice pollinator section. Some Mexican mint here. We got some Mexican mint down here. We have some thyme on the outside, on the perimeter here. We got some sage here, some more zinnias coming in. We got plenty of chamomile. But it's just a section that looks nice around the mailbox, but it attracts so many pollinators. And then we're gonna move over to our front yard food forest, which is 6 feet away. So, you know, attracting plenty more pollinators. So let's get a better view of the front yard food forest, where you kind of see like a bunch of sunflowers along the front perimeter here. So we got a ton of sunflowers. I cut a nice amount of them off already because I harvested the seeds to put more sunflowers in the ground. But let's get an inside view. So I'm going to walk on the inside, but all around the front perimeter, just to make it look nice and pretty, there's plenty of sunflowers. Let's see, let's take a walk inside, see what we got growing on. Okay. Let's see where we're going to start at. So let's start over here. Let's start along this perimeter. And along this fence line right here, this fence line going along is all tomatoes. And most of them are staked. A lot of these are determinate tomatoes. So they're good for the moment with just a stake and not need to be trellised. So I'm going to walk down this line. You can walk down this line with me. You can see tomatoes on the vines here. Some of them I picked off already. Whenever they start to turn a little color, I pick them off. But it's been really hot lately. We're going through numerous heat waves, and some of the tomatoes just aren't growing as fast, or some of the tomatoes have been dropping. That's why they're not as abundant as they could be. But more tomatoes. We got a nice little bunch right here. Right next to the catmint, we got a couple rose bushes where the roses have already spent. Got some pepper plants here. Are there peppers on here? Yeah, we got some jalapenos on there. Another pepper plant right next to this mammoth sunflower right here that's doing amazing. That's beautiful. So we got tomatoes right next to this catmint right here. See tomatoes through there. Now this catmint I harvested already this year. It's ready to be cut down again actually. So I cut it all the way down, and then it's grew back again, prolific, maybe like, I said I'd give it a good 2 months and it was already flowering again. So don't be afraid to cut that catmint down. And in this area, there's a lot of peppers growing. We have bell peppers. Oh man, I just stepped on one. But we got bell peppers right here. You see that on the vine right there? More bell peppers. It's a bell pepper right here. This one looks funky right here. But there are another bell pepper. There's some habanero peppers right here. And I know a lot of people are gonna say, should you be planting hot peppers next to peppers that are not hot? And as long as I'm not, selling the seeds, I'm not really, I'm not too worried about it. I'm just planting this. I eat hot peppers, not spicy peppers. It doesn't matter. So if it grows, I'm planting it. But it's our pepper section. We got more peppers over here. There's another jalapeno down there. So I just recently harvested this, so there's not a ton of peppers out here. So I harvested the peppers to make hot sauce. But this is just a mixed section. We got a hydrangea right here that was dying. I actually got this one from my mother. It looked like it was pretty much dead, but we brought that back to life. So got a little flower growing there. We got some, it's a Hungarian wax pepper. That one's starting to turn orange a little bit right there. I don't know if you can kind of see that. We have chili peppers right here, or cayenne pepper. So we got that one, nice red one right there. But like I said, most of these peppers are already harvested, so there's not a ton out here. But we have a bunch of Hungarian wax peppers growing back in right here. And we got maybe 4 more growing back on here. So like I said, I just recently harvested these and they grow back so fast. More of these. Got a bunch. We got more jalapenos. These look distressed. I got to start harvesting these. I'll probably come back out here today and harvest these jalapenos. These are growing too fat right here. So these are definitely ready to harvest. We actually have ghost peppers right here. I forgot about these. We got ghost pepper coming in. I don't even want to touch this guy because I'm going to have to go and wash my hands. I don't want to touch my face. But we got some sunflowers. I put a couple sunflowers out here. Another Hungarian wax pepper. This one, what's this one? That's Hungarian wax pepper right there. We have some strawberry plants that I put out here. So these are all strawberries. And we actually have, it looks like we got a little strawberry coming in right there. I don't know if you can kind of see that one, but we got strawberry coming in right there. This is a different variety of strawberry in the middle, on the outside right here. So it's two different kinds of strawberry. We got some more strawberries here and there. And what do we have here? I know I saw, there we go. So composting into the soil. This is actually an avocado tree right here. That one right there that I'm moving around right here. This is actually an avocado tree. And there's just random kale and Swiss chard planted in here. Where my finger's pointing, we got some red Russian kale right here. We have some curled blue vates over here. The bugs keep eating them because I don't cover this area with any netting. We got some volunteer tomato plants. But, in a front yard food forest, I'm not looking for any to grow anything linear. This is just what grows naturally from compost, or what I put here is just put sporadically for the most part. But in this section over here, under this netting is kale. So this section right here is all kale. The next section was Merlot lettuce. I don't know if you can kind of see, but it's starting to bolt. And then I had more lettuce and spinach that bolted already. And then there's strawberries down at the other end. But it's July, and we're getting ready to put in our fall crop of a ton more lettuce and kale. So I'm going to harvest all this stuff, and we're going to put in a ton more lettuce and kale in here. So maybe we should go back around the other way, and then we'll take a walk. Right here in this section was where I put some volunteers that I had growing over there from putting compost in the flower section. I had some eggplant. This is a volunteer. I I'm pretty sure this is a winter squash. And then this is a volunteer eggplant. This is eggplant right here too. These are some seeds I just put out here not too long ago. I think they're cantaloupe. But we got a hazelnut tree growing right here. Put out here a few months ago. We have, in this bed right here, beets. Some of them have been eaten down. We have groundhogs that is getting under the fence that came in here and kind of ravaged this section a little bit. So I'm gonna have to do something about that and pull that weed out. So this section right here, this is our bean section, and I know it doesn't look the greatest right now. The groundhog came in here and ravaged some of this, a lot of this actually, because it all looked like this right here. This section that's over here was nice and full. I think he has his choice of beans that he actually likes, so he loves these. Skipped this section right here and then went over to the next section where he ravaged those. So you can see the stark contrast because they all looked the same how this middle section looked. So that little guy, he has a problem coming to him. So let's come over here and look at this little section right here. So this bed is Swiss chard. We have some spinach in here, but it was mainly Swiss chard, and then the Swiss chard was starting to bolt a little bit, so I put in some beans to help bring this back to life. And yeah, the groundhog came and ate some of this down, but some of the beans are bouncing back. But you can definitely see some of the rainbow chard that's still here. So, I mean, these are going to get a lot bigger, but I might come out here and harvest some of these for dinner. So, I mean, it's not looking as good as it was looking. Let's see, what else do we have? So before we move from this section, let's highlight right here. We have some persimmon trees in this bucket right here that I'm getting ready to plant out. So there's 6 persimmon trees here. We have a chestnut tree right here. I'm getting ready to put these in the ground soon. We have a few blueberry bushes. We got a blueberry bush here, young blueberry bush. We got another blueberry bush here. We got another blueberry bush right here. So let's see what we have right here. Well, we have a nectarine tree. So there's definitely fruit on here. You can you see some of the fruit here. So there's fruit on this one, but I tried to clone this tree and I did some air layering. It's looking like this one is not taking. Maybe the branch was a little bit young. I have air layered a few branches. This one looks like it's not going to make it, but we have one branch that is taken. So looks like we're going to get at least one clone off this tree, but there's plenty of fruit on this one. There's fruit all around. So there's a nectarine tree here. We have another nectarine tree right here. So we have another nectarine tree right here that I'm cloning, and not all the leaves died, so this one's still green. So we'll probably get 2 trees that take to the cloning right here. So this one is not really producing fruit, but we're gonna clone this tree. We'll get a couple more, so that's what, three more trees off of these 2. All right, let's take a walk through here. All right, so in this section right here, this is all strawberries. Right here, these are all strawberries right here. We got more strawberries right here. And then, there's some more strawberries here. We have Myoga ginger. So this is, I planted these 2 right here. No, I planted 3 actually. So I planted this one, and this one, but we have a few more shoots popping out. So we got this shoot right here popped out just recently, not too long ago. This one just popped out. We have another shoot right here that just popped out, and we have another little one. I don't know if you can see that one on camera. We got another shoot popping out here. But that's the myogre. Can you see that down there? There's another shoot right here that's popping out. And right here, actually. I just seen that one. And another one. Wow, another little one right here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 shoots popping out off of that one. Nice. But also in this bed is all carrots. So pardon the grass here. Just pulling out a few weeds just to make it look better for the camera. So we got carrots, purple carrots in this section. Unfortunately, the groundhog came through here and he loves carrot tops also. So it's not looking as good as it was. These carrot tops should be about this high now, but the groundhog ate them all down. Luckily, looks like they're growing back for the most part. So we'll be able to salvage some purple carrots here. Let's see what we got next. We have a pawpaw tree right here. This tree is native to New Jersey. We have a few of these trees. We got a peach tree right here. So I'm gonna definitely have to trim this down. I'm gonna have to prune this because I took a nice amount of cuttings off of it when I put it in the ground, and this thing shot up. These shot up maybe, she's like 4 feet. 4 feet growth in a couple months. So these things do grow fast, but I'm definitely gonna prune these because I don't want them growing this high from the base. At least not without training them downwards where I want them at. So in this section right here, there's a couple squash that I put out here, summer squash. But in this bed right here is actually all volunteers. There's tomato plants, there's a squash plant over here. This is just from composting. So I had other stuff in this area that I pulled out, but these are all volunteers. What else do we have over here? Oh, we have some elderberry. So if you want to get a closer look, this is an elderberry bush right here. You can kind of see that grouping right there. We got another grouping of elderberry right here. So I've definitely picked some off already. And we have another grouping right here. Looking good, elderberry bush. We have several elderberry bushes here. Oh, there's another pawpaw tree right here. Let's see, do we have more volunteer squash? No squash on these yet, but we definitely have plenty of volunteer squash coming out here. Let's see, what else we got growing on? Not sure what those are, but we got some rosemary. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rosemary plants that are starting to kick up a little bit. We have a sage plant right here. We got some Mexican mint. We got a couple cacti, 1, 2, and we have some thyme right here. So it's just a little herb section right here. We have another elderberry. This one's not fruiting yet this year. Not yet, but it's an elderberry bush. And then we have another elderberry bush right here where you can see we got some starting to fruit. We're going to finish off the tour of the front yard food forest with what we have here, which is a Chicago hardy fig, and then we have an oso berry bush that we're going to put in the backyard. So let's take this on to the backyard, and I'll give you a tour back there and see how things are progressing. So before we walk into our backyard enclosure, we have a blueberry bush right here, which is right next to 2 grapevines, which this grapevine loved this blueberry bush so much that he's attached himself to the blueberry bush. So we actually have a blueberry and a grapevine attached to each other. Now imagine if they mated and we got a grape blueberry, but we don't. But yeah, he has little tentacles that he's attached to this guy, so I just left him there for right now. But if you came close, you could definitely see some blueberries under here. We don't have any ripe ones right now. I've been picking them as they get ripe. There's one that's starting to ripe. You kind of see a purple one right here. So there's definitely blueberries on here. No grapes on here yet. And then we have another grapevine over here that's working his way up. And of crawling up and attaching themselves to the fence here. So we're gonna walk around. Oh, no, we got one more in these grow bags right here. So yes, there's weeds in here, which I need to pull out, but there's also blueberry bush in here. And this right here is the entrance of my backyard growing. And the first thing we have here is a homemade trellis, and made from a couple black locust trees that I cut down, some wood scraps that I got from a site called Free Cycle. People were getting rid of stuff, so I actually paid $0 for any of this stuff right here. And I have a free trellis that I threw up. And we have butternut squash for the most part that's growing on this trellis. But let's come around this way, and you can actually see a ripe butternut squash right here. So I'm getting ready to cut this guy soon, but I'm not gonna cut him yet. We got a ripe one there. If you can kind of get a closer look right here, we have a different type of squash growing right here. Looks like another winter squash, but that guy's coming in. We got a bunch more come in, but it's because of the heat wave, they've been falling off and not actually producing. So if you want to come around this side real quick. We've been getting a ton of these little guys, like wanting to come in, but then they start dying and falling off. So yeah, hopefully after that heat wave is over, things will start to materialize even more. But I put a ton more squash. This is more winter squash that's starting to climb its way up the trellis. And this is going to look like such a beautiful trellis when it's all said and done, and all these plants are growing up and doing what they're supposed to do. But this is free. And also I wood chipped down here under the trellis and on top of the soil just to help retain moisture. And we have, you see a ton more squash down there, and actually a volunteer tomato plant, but I left that guy there. He can stay there. All right, so let's come along this bed right here. Let's get if you can get like a wider view. So this is the herb section. Can you get a view of the entire bed? And then we'll start right here. This is the entirety of one bed right here. It's a 45 foot by about 5 or 6 feet. It's like 5.5, 6 feet. So 45 by, let's just say 6 feet. 45 by 6 foot bed. And at this end is all herbs for the most part. This is coriander. So we put plenty of cilantro out here, and the cilantro bolted. It was too hot for it, but we will salvage this with the coriander that we have here. And we have a ton more right here. Lots of coriander, and we're gonna cook with that. And then we have marigold right here. We have some chamomile right here. We have some basil. Some of it's bolting, but some of it's still usable. Rip off basil leaf. So I'm gonna eat that one. That's a little snack right there for me. But we got basil out here. We have some Mexican mint. And then along this whole side right here is all different variations of tomato plants. So right here, this is tomatillo. But actually this whole section right here, all these are all tomatillos. And one thing you'll notice throughout this bed is a ton of volunteers. So I really only planted throughout the majority of this, I really only planted peppers, tomatoes, and then there was the occasional onion. But as far as like these squash, we actually have a red Russian kale, or 2 red Russian kales that I did not plant. They're volunteers, but I love volunteers, so I'll leave the volunteers. I don't mind. But along this back section is for predominantly all tomatoes. So we come down here, all tomatoes. There's another tomatillo right here. Tomatoes, we got tomatoes producing right here. I don't know if you can see them on the camera, but we got tomatoes on there. This right here are beans. I accidentally, because I was back here with planting tomatoes, and I actually dropped some beans that fell out of my pocket. So I left them there, and this is what's producing. I think they're black-eyed peas, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, more tomatoes along this whole tomato line right here. Another tomato plant here. More volunteer squash. Yeah, just a lot of tomatoes being trellised. We got some little ones coming in. So these are about ready to get picked. We got a couple that are starting to turn red, and I'll pick those out in a little bit. But just a ton of volunteers. No, these aren't turning yet. But yeah, more tomatoes. So I'm going to come through and trellis some of these soon because they're growing taller. And actually, the deer came and ate some of these. So I actually left the door open, and that's why they're not as tall as they could be. But they are producing. Tomatoes are super resilient, and they're shooting back up. And then we just have more tomato plants back here. More and more, a ton of tomatoes. And we got more ripe ones. And then we have some pollinators back here. So some zinnias coming in. More volunteer squash. So many volunteer squash. We're gonna have enough squash to last for the whole winter and give some away. All right, so on this side, we have all peppers. Besides the volunteers, we have all pepper plants. So we have some that are producing. We have some young jalapenos right here. We have some Hungarian wax peppers coming in right here. If you can see those, some young Hungarian wax peppers. We have more jalapenos right here. Young jalapeno. The Hungarian wax peppers are starting to kick up. We got a couple more right here. We have 4 of them right here. The leaves are hiding them. So these are all Hungarian wax peppers. And some young ones I put in there, they're starting to produce. Like these are 2 cayenne peppers. We got jalapenos right here, some young ones. This one's a little bit more mature. Some volunteer squash. Let's look at this. Look at that right here. The volunteer winter squash right here, a butternut squash. This is why I love volunteers. Free food. You compost, you give back to Mother Earth, you feed your plants, and Earth rewards you and gives you back in abundance. So this is all free food right here. I didn't plant any winter squash, but we have winter squash growing. So yeah, more jalapenos. It's mainly hot peppers back here. So we got a little baby jalapeno, Hungarian wax pepper right here. More Hungarian wax peppers. And these are all hot peppers. Some are producing, the flowers are falling off because it's too hot. This is another volunteer squash right here. This one doesn't have any fruit on it yet. So you can kind of see right here, this flower is going to die, but it's mainly due to the heat right now. It's just so hot, nothing's really pollinating too well. But we have a ton of Hungarian wax peppers on here. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, nice. This one looks like, oh no, it's not what it looks like. But no, 7. We got 7 on there. Nice. Some young jalapenos right here. Doing good. Everything's doing good. As soon as the weather cools down, these things are going to start producing so much. Oh, this one. Yeah, I know. That's why I was telling you there was one in the middle of the bed. I said that yesterday.
Yeah, it looks like it actually might probably.
But we got a tomatillo. We got a tomatillo right here. We have this looks like we got habanero right here. I forgot that I even put habanero peppers back here, but we got some habaneros producing right here. Some more young. This one looks like a bell pepper actually. All right, but it's just a ton more peppers. We got some more volunteer squash, more peppers. We got a young little tiny jalapeno right there. Look at that little guy. Nice. Little guy's producing. And I haven't felt the need to trellis any of the peppers yet. We do have this bed weeded and wood chipped, but we still use drip irrigation because during these hot months, the heat, the sun will still evaporate a lot of that moisture, and we want to make sure we get as much production and healthy plants as we can, and it subsequently feeds the volunteers, and we get even more volunteers. So a volunteer tomato plant and more volunteer squash. We have two volunteer eggplant right here. If you can see that, 2 volunteer eggplant. And one of the things that, because of this time of year, you can see this is cayenne pepper or chili pepper that fell off of the vine. So this is when they start turning real light like this, real tannish brown. They start to fall off the vine, and you can see the vine is turning really tan. So they fall off when it gets really hot and it's too hot for them, and they fall onto the soil or your growing medium. And one of my favorite things to do when I see this happen is I bust them open and pull back some of the top soil, the top mulch, and just put the seeds in there and just let them grow more, and put it right back on top, and those are going to start producing a lot more plants right there. But it fell off of this bush right here, which is producing even more chili peppers or cayenne peppers. So it's all good. We give back to nature, nature gives back to us. Drop them right back in there. It's my favorite thing to do. So we got some jalapenos right here growing. These are coming in good. And more jalapenos, and just finishing off the bed with these volunteer squash right here. And we look to the other side. This is our second bed right here. This was a no-till bed, and this is all, from this section, this is all squash right here. So I put some summer squash, and then we have winter squash down there that were volunteers, but this bed was mainly watermelon and potatoes, and then some occasional strawberries. So this is potatoes right here, some watermelon. It's mainly all watermelon and squash in this bed. I gotta finish weeding this section right here, and then I wanna top this with wood chips. There's some eggplant right here. So these I actually planted. I put these eggplant here. Some of these are starting to produce little eggplants. We have an eggplant right here that's coming in. That's coming in nicely. We got a little eggplant right here that's coming in. I don't know if you can see that. We got a little eggplant there. We have an eggplant here. I don't know if you can see that one. So we got another little eggplant there. But we have little ones coming in, but they're doing well. So it's it's like 7 or 8 eggplants right there. And we have potatoes. So I gotta finish. So like this right here is a reason why I'm wood chipping this, because I had, this is compost and topsoil for this bed right here. And it's settled to the point to where some of the potatoes are starting to come out, and they're starting to rise above the soil. So you can see a little potato right here. And this is where I stopped with the wood chips. So I'm just gonna cover this little guy up, and I need to come through and wood chip for the next like 20 feet, because that's the only little bit that I didn't get yet. And it's gonna prevent any potatoes from coming up and start turning green. And when they start turning green, they're no longer edible. But I wood chipped this, added maybe like another 6 inches of growing medium for the potatoes, so they can start to, they can continue to get larger. We have sweet potatoes right here. These things, this year actually, they took forever to start vining out, but now they're starting to kick up. I think the heat got to them, but they're starting to vine out pretty good. Actually, see, it's producing more roots. So they will start to produce more roots and start to produce more sweet potatoes, so I'll put that back in there. We want to encourage all growth. Nice. And the leaves of the sweet potatoes are actually edible. And then you have more potatoes, more potato vines, and then we have a ton of watermelon. So to finish off this end of this bed, these are all potatoes right here. But we get into what we have vining out right here, and these are all watermelon vines. So the idea was to have watermelon vines coming out the side of the bed, growing into the walk area, because I want to use and optimize all growing space. So we have a ton of watermelon vines coming out. None of these are actually have watermelons on them yet to speak of, but they're all flowering out, which is good. So we know we will have watermelon coming soon. These are all sugar babies. And before we make our way down here, we'll also highlight this area over here, which is, this is more watermelon. Let's look over here. There's watermelon here, more watermelon vines. Sheesh, lots of watermelon. This is watermelon here. But we have raspberry bushes right here. So these are young raspberry bushes that I put in this year. I'm gonna move these weeds out right here, out the way. And this is a young raspberry bush. We have a blueberry bush right here. More watermelon. Sheesh, I overdid it with the watermelon, right? But blueberry bush. We have raspberry bush here, raspberry bush here, raspberry bush here. We did have some raspberries on there a couple days ago. I took some off, and then I think the birds got to the rest of them. And then over here, we have, this is another grapevine right here, another grapevine. And then we have a grapevine that's actually making its way up right here. So we have grapevine that's actually making its way up the raspberry bush. So, but it's all good. Everything's growing, doing well. There's actually another blueberry bush in here too. So, I mean, it's hard to see, but this right here, this is blueberry bush. There's grapevine. So this right here, this is the grapevine that's making its way up the raspberry bushes, but this is a blueberry bush that's intertwined right here. But next year, it should start to look a little bit more clear what's blueberry, what's raspberry. When they start producing fruit, I know which is which. It's all good. So watch your step, climbing over the watermelon, so you don't step on any watermelon flowers or anything. Try to aim for the wood chips or weeds, or grow around. So let's get a better view. So this is a Three Sisters bed right here. My wife wanted a Three Sisters bed, so I put a ton of arborist wood chips here, and that's what we got growing on right here. So this is a ton of beans. It's a mixture. Roman beans, black-eyed peas. I forgot what other beans are growing here, but I put a bunch out here. I have the packets inside. I wrote it all down. There's a ton of beans. There's squash growing in the middle, and then I put a few on the outside, but it's all corn in the back. So, I mean, it should be pretty noticeable. So it's corn, squash, beans, and I had some extra space, so I decided to throw a few more squash in there. But we have more watermelon on this side, on the outside of this eggplant here. And then we have a ton more squash growing right here. These are all summer squash. They were put in here not too long ago. That's why they're not doing a whole lot yet. But more watermelon, and these flowers right here are actually potato. These are potato flowers, but it's watermelon attached to the potatoes. And then we have more watermelon. I feel like you guys are getting tired of seeing so much watermelon, but yeah, we're trying to grow in abundance, so much. And it's all watermelon here. And then we have a lot more beans growing right here. A groundhog actually got in here and ate all the kale, because this was a kale patch right here. So I got enough. I have some curled blue vates that's still left in there, but the groundhogs kept eating the kale, but they wouldn't touch the beans for some reason. I don't know what it is, but they didn't touch these beans. But it's a ton of beans growing right here. I'm gonna weed this bed and wood chip it and mulch it. And then we'll end off this section with just more watermelon. So tons of watermelon, and then back to the squash, and that's what we got growing on back here. So if you want to get a better view of my squash, we have gourds, we got melons, we got beans, we got corn, we got peppers, tomatoes. We got a ton of stuff growing on, and this is not a huge space right here. So we got a huge backyard. We're not even growing in, not even a third of the growing space yet, but this is what we have started so far. If anybody has any questions, anybody has any comments, anybody has any suggestions, I'm open and I'm all ears to anything that anybody has to say. Please put it in the comments, and I look forward to the next video and talking to y'all. Good luck and keep it growing.